Greetings, my fellow aficionados of interactive entertainment. For today's episode, I will be analysing a game that successfully convinced me to stop using drugs. While I miss the fantasy-inducing raves and independent music festivals, having a clearer head has made me productive to actually make videos, and I owe it all to Pacman. Now you're probably pondering how a game that spawned a children's cartoon program managed to have drug references, but as I'm sure you've all learned by now, you simply didn't get it because you have the intellect of an inbred monkey gargling feces. I know I could pick on the fine, subtle details, but this is so blindingly obvious it's embarrassing. The game is about Pacman running around a neon world eating pills with electronic music blaring in the background. When he swallows the larger pills in the corners, he becomes intoxicated by the drug and starts seeing everyone around him as blue people and tries to digest them. I mean, really? Are you all that delusional that you didn't notice? Look at the recent Championship Edition. Obvious techno music implemented there, and the neon lights are even more blindingly obvious. Just listen for a moment. Come on, people! Well, anyway, this game was released in 1980, and it is clear that this game was designed by a supporter of the Disco Sucks movement, clearly mocking the lifestyle initially started by disco fans and continued today by ravers, which makes this game still relevant after over 30 years. True artistic achievement stands the test of time, and so far, Pacman looks like it has the potential to be the next Mona Lisa. Let's analyse the game mechanics and how they convey this powerful message of sobriety. First of all, the ghosts are actually symbolic of friends, police, and security officers trying to stop him. Due to Pacman's intoxication, he sees them as ghosts, which represents his terrified state of mind since he doesn't want to get captured. Using ghosts truly represents the feeling of fear an addict would feel when confronted about their drug use. Another thing you will notice with the game mechanics is that Pacman never stops moving. He has taken so much drugs that he has a ridiculous amount of energy to burn, so much that he has to constantly run around and not stay in one spot. The combination of these two mechanics and the messages behind them creates a clever and well-planned final conclusion to the story every time you play. Since this is an arcade game, Pacman will always die. When you ignore your friends and family that try to help you, run away from your problems and go on a drug-infused binge, it is likely that this will happen. And if I had not played this game, I know I would have gone down the same path. This game changed my life. But to further my point, what would have happened if I decided to raise a family in my drug-induced state? Well, Pacman addressed this in later games. Look at Ms. Pacman and Pacman Jr. for a moment. What are they doing in their games? The exact same thing as Pacman himself. He has dragged his poor family into a life of drugs and has created a family full of junkies. You have seen families like this before, and the Pacman series truly captures how tragic this scenario is. Having that kind of childhood is going to ruin Pacman Jr. I just can't imagine how he will turn out once he reaches high school. Now, if you think I'm just talking out my ass, then I'll conclude by showing you an example of a celebrity being inspired by this masterpiece. Who is currently on a non-stop drug-filled binge, is constantly at clubs partying, and is always hallucinating about nonsensical things like tiger blood. They say art imitates life and life imitates art, but does Charlie Sheen imitate Pacman? After all, he is always talking about winning for a reason. Food for thought. I hope this has been inspiring for you, my fellow intellectuals. Farewell. Are you all that delusional that you didn't notice? Look at the recent Championship Edition. Edition.